Hey everybody, my name is Greg, also known as Mailhouse. Today I want to answer one of the most common questions I get whenever I talk about Australian football to anybody, and that is, what is Australian football? Or as they usually ask me, oh, Australian football, that's basically rugby, right? So I'm here to basically tell you that no, it's nothing like rugby, it is completely different than rugby, and I can easily demonstrate this by kind of showing you what a rugby player looks like and what I look like. And as you can see, I would not be able to play rugby um, with this body type that I have. I lack about 150 pounds to be able to compete at rugby. A lot of people fall into a situation where they try to explain Aussie rules by kind of comparing it to other sports, and I don't think that makes a lot of sense. If you were to describe hockey to somebody who just was discovering the sport, you wouldn't go like, oh, it's kind of like soccer, but on ice and with sticks. No, that wouldn't make sense, right? So I think we kind of fall into this trap of trying to compare it to a sport when it really isn't like anything else on the planet. Australian football is often called Aussie Rules or Footy, and it's played on a giant oval. So picture about 160 meters long by maybe 135, 140 meters wide at its widest point. So at both ends there are four posts. There's two big ones in the middle. They're the goals, so your objective is to kick the ball, which looks like this, through the two big posts. Doing that gets you 6 points. It's called a goal. If you kick it through the middle tall one and the outside shorter one, or if the ball is touched on the way through, or if it hits the post or anything like that, it's called a behind and it's worth 1 point. So there's a big difference between kicking a goal through the big two sticks in the middle, or kicking it behind and only getting 1 point. And you can move it in two ways. You can move it by kicking, 360 degrees, or you can hand pass it, which looks kind of like a punch. Basically, you have to have the ball in your hand and you have to punch it out of your hand without throwing it. So you're not allowed to throw it, you're not allowed to toss the ball. And if you throw the ball up before you punch it, or if the ball comes out and goes to the ground, that's a turnover. That's not allowed. You're kind of obligated to get rid of the ball. So if you have the ball and you get tackled and you had a chance to get rid of the ball by either hand passing or kicking, that's a turnover. So it rewards the team that does the tackle. You're allowed to tackle, it's full contact, and you don't wear any equipment, so the only equipment that some players wear is a mouth guard. But you are protected by the rules, so you're not allowed to hit anybody in the head. You have to hit between the shoulders and the knees. You can't tackle anybody who doesn't have the ball, but you are allowed to kind of bump them, which is called like a hip and shoulder. If you come in with the side and you bump into them, as long as you're within 5 meters of the ball, that's totally allowed. If you catch a ball off of a kick, and the ball has gone more than 15 meters, that's called a mark. And a mark basically means that you get to back up from the place that you caught it and get a free kick. So your opponent can't tackle you, or you're allowed to play on. And if you're free and you think you can beat your man, you can run on, and the game just keeps going. So the one thing you'll notice about Aussie rules is that there's very few stoppages. If the ball goes out of bounds, the umpire actually runs over and throws it in over his head. And if there's ever a stoppage, it's usually just thrown up and the play goes on. So there's hardly any stoppages. It's very fast paced. It's always moving. Because it's such a large field, there's 18 players on a field per team at any given time. So there's 3 full forwards, 3 half forwards, 3 midfielders, 3 halfbacks, and 3 fullbacks. And then there's the ruckman. And then the ruck, rover, and rover are kind of players that go everywhere. They follow the ball. And it gets a bit chaotic, but really each player does have a role they're supposed to play, and the team that's able to best follow that structure is the team that's usually able to win. So yeah, now that I've told you kind of the basics of Australian football, hopefully you can go around and not wonder about whether it's rugby, and even when I tell people, no, it's Australian football, they'll come back 2 weeks later and they'll go, oh, how's your rugby going? Maybe I was able to convince some of you that you'd want to try it, or that you'd want to come out and watch a game. There's clips of it on YouTube. I'll put a couple of them in the description here. So yeah, thanks everybody for watching. I've just created this YouTube channel, so please go ahead and subscribe. I'll be putting up a number of videos throughout the year, leading up to the International Cup 2017, and then I'll be documenting my experiences through that. So it'd be great if you subscribe and you can help spread the word about Aussie Rules in Canada.